You see, something is going to happen. Something wonderful.
My God, it's full of stars.
Welcome to the NY Patriot Show. In this episode, I'm very happy to have back the Boozy Bros and Paranormal Wasteland. I had them on not too long ago last time, and they were trying to prove the paranormal, and I got them back on because they're still doing it, and they've got more experiences since then. And special guest co-host on tonight, the man and his glorious beard. You may all know him as Davey Wavy from the Red Pill Cartel, but here he is. What is going on, Davey? It has been a long hell of a time, and when they were going to come back on, I was like, you know what? He's got experiences himself. I need to get him back on. So
I heard that episode with you guys and Ron, and I was like, oh, man. I was an instant fan of you guys, so I started checking out your stuff, started sharing stuff with you guys, and I forgot I was going to send you a picture of the house that I lived in when I was a kid that I had the experiences in, but I totally gapped on it. But I'll send that to you guys later. But I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. No, thank you for all jumping
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Davey, let everybody know before we get to the other people where everybody can find you and your podcast.
Red Pill Cartel Podcast, all one word, on Instagram. In my bio, you can click my link tree and then listen to wherever you want.
Yes, and I got his nice little link tree in the bottom. Makes it nice and easy. You can find all of his links in there. Do you have your Twitter in there? Because I know you are on Twitter, but you really don't use it. Okay, all right. I was gonna say,
I'm not overly active on it, but I just share my new episode. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my stuff just gets automatically shared as well. Nice. And tonight, then the guests, Paranormal Wasteland and the Boozy Bros. What's going on? Is you guys want to, I guess, introduce yourselves? Whoever wants to go first and say what's up.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Heck yeah. So we're Boozy Bros, Paranormal Wasteland, paranormal investigators located in Oklahoma. We travel. Well, we're going to travel the world to prove and expose the paranormal. So you can find out all our links actually on our website, boozybros.com/links. Has all our stuff on there. Otherwise, everything else is just search Boozy Bros. We're on everything, like every platform. Yeah, the hat. Yeah, heck yeah.
I got the hat and I got the chrome dome. Someone was talking about it in the chat.
Yeah. I'm the gnome.
Yeah, I'm jealous, man. Look at that fucking thing.
Beard right there.
I would never have the patience to get even halfway that far. So it starts itching me. I go crazy. But I'm sorry I interrupted you guys. Go ahead.
Oh, you're okay.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. Yeah, we're simple.
All right. I do have everybody's links in the bottom. Like I was saying last time, I know you guys had talked about some of the experiences you have had. And I know you have gone on other, I guess, what do you call them? Not ghost hunts. What do you guys call them? Investigations. Yes, it makes it sound so much better. I keep saying ghost hunt for myself.
It's the same
and I'm like, I got to say investigation. It makes it sound so much more serious. But I mean, you guys are serious, though. So, I mean, I guess it's right to call them investigations. And that's exactly kind of why I like having you guys on. Because, like, for me, with the paranormal, that's all it is, really, for me, is an investigation. I don't know what the hell's going on. I just have these meters or all these tools that supposedly work and help show something going on. This is what I got,
When you're investigating it too, it's always a question mark. You really don't know what you're getting yourself into. So it's like any other investigator. You've been to places where you don't catch nothing at all, and you go in one place thinking they're not gonna catch anything, you catch the most. I mean, it's just
wild.
It's a curveball for sure in certain places that you go. And
of course.
I will say, with the last few investigations we've done, it's definitely been a shock, I would say, to get what we've gotten this far in just a quick amount of time. And
that's awesome.
Definitely. So when we're investigating, we have no idea what we're doing. We're just going in to find out.
We have a running joke that we're all ghost magnets.
Yeah, big time.
Nice.
And does anybody really know what they're doing when it comes to this kind of thing?
Right, exactly.
No one's a professional.
That's a really good point.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good actual point. It's not like I don't think there's like a legit like scientific book on like this is how it goes on.
Yeah.
Investigations are done.
You don't go to college.
I think Pandora, I think you were talking about how when you were younger that you would like collect all the ghost books that you could.
Yes.
When you said that, I was like, "Yep, that was me." I'd go to the public library and look for anything ghost related.
Yeah, I was a weird kid who read by herself in the corner of the library about ghosts. So,
yo, I would.
If you were like that at all, we're the same.
I was doing that stuff when I was a kid. Like, I can't remember what the deal was, but I felt like either it was a class or I don't know if they were taking one kid at a time, but we'd get a chance to go down to the library and I guess read or whatever for I don't know how long. It's just brief little memories that I have, but like I was always taking out like weird stuff like that, like ghost stuff, more scary stories to tell in the dark, shit like that.
Oh yeah,
you know, like Norse god cartoon books that I had no idea what the hell I was even looking at. You know, that's like why was it even in the school?
That's like the best thing about having Pandora on the team is that she's my English teacher, I would say. So if I forget something or if I can't remember what I'm trying to explain, I'm like, what am I trying to say? She'll be like, oh, you're talking about this place, and it has the name of every place that we want to go to. So she's got the researcher. Yeah, she's got it written down in her brain pretty dang good. It takes me a couple of Google searches to talk about what I'm talking about. So having her to be that quick and fast on certain things is always a huge, huge help.
Well, I would think even with investigating with multiple people, it helps for certain people to have like their own little niche.
Yeah, we all have our own like special abilities or like the things we're best at. Like we all kind of come together as like a puzzle piece and just really help each other out, which is awesome.
That's great.
Who's the one that collects the spores, molds, and fungus?
But I think that's what the fun part about it too is the things that we aren't really, I would say, like don't really have a big profession at, or we're not like dominant in or whatever. So like for example, like Ghost Hunt's like, okay, where should we go and what should we do? We're just kind of like, I don't know, let's just flip a coin and do it. And so, for example, we've done a few investigations since our last time on the podcast, and we've the last place that one of the first locations actually that we went to down in Duncan, Oklahoma, at the Lindley Hospital, and the first time that me and Panda went, we got what we got, and it was, you definitely had that feeling like, okay, this place is haunted, but what's the level of how haunted it is, and like that, which, as the other locations and other places that, different investigators go to, they get different things, and we went there with Pablo the next time, and it was not even the same. It was completely different.
Yeah.
So much more activity, so much more. It raised even more questions that I had before. I just didn't know.
We've had quite a few good bids so far. So heck yeah. Yeah, we're doing good.
Nice. Good for you. That's great. I did go out to go see Ron last time since I spoke.
How's that?
Unfortunately, we didn't get anything, but I will have to say, and this is like even a whole other thing. In my opinion, if I was to do a ghost hunt at Ron's and it was like up to me, I'd be there for probably 2 or 3 days. Because I do think with the architecture, even the graveyard there, some of the stuff that's up with, there's a rope hanging inside this guy's barn that somebody hung themselves from. Like it's still,
that's
but you
crazy,
know what I'm
dude.
saying? Like there has, I'm sure things do happen. Because like even something that I thought was really weird. Sorry, I'm like stealing the show on my investigation that got nothing. They have these walls over there built out of these stones that it's like, not to compare it to like the pyramids, but the thing is, if you were to like look at the size of these stones, you were like, who the hell or how the hell did you even get those over here?
Wow.
And why the hell did you even spend that much time to build these stones? And where did you get these all from? Because they are literally like all over.
You know what the answer is?
It's probably something crazy and wild.
Flames. That's what they said the pyramids were built by.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, getting a
And
strike.
what year was this place built? You said?
Oh, his I think was over by there. I think 17 or 1800s.
Oh wow.
Yo, and there's like there are these walls all over the place that like are boundary walls, but they are gigantic rocks. And it's like I was even saying, it's like, where did you even find all these? Did you guys like, oh, look at this pile of rocks just
right, yeah.
Like, how did you even get these rocks?
Let's just build.
Did you get any pictures, man?
Yeah. You know what? I need to during this week. I really don't have much to do. I need to get some of the video of it, and I'll even send some straight to you, Davey, when I'm done editing.
Yeah, dude, I want to see that.
Yeah, just the least of the rock walls and all that stuff. I even have some drone footage. You could probably see it. I'll send you that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah,
I'll even send it to you guys. You guys want to see these, man? It's just,
yeah.
You may not like be like, oh, but like when you're there and you see it and you're like, yo, that thing probably weighs more than me or as much as me. Like, like really, why did you make a wall with exerting that much energy?
Yeah, right.
You know, and it all has like quartz in it. I forgot what kind of stone it was, but it all had quartz in it too, which made me like a little like, this is, who knows what was going on here.
That's really strange.
Yeah. But all right, enough about Ron's ghost hunt or investigation. But I definitely do plan on going back and probably spending more time.
That sounds really cool.
Right.
Yeah. Even if anything, he was even talking about like I would still even bother doing a documentary on like what the hell is up with these walls.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Documentary just
what kind of energy is it containing?
Yeah, you know what I told him? I said the crazy thing is like when you look at it, like when I was even looking at it from my drone footage, I was like, you would almost think this is a miniature version of like Machu Picchu that just ended up growing grass and dirt.
Dang.
Or like a gigantic, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, not a miniature version. Like Machu Picchu would have been a miniature version because if you look at the whole area, I mean, it's like the whole fucking town. It's like all these walls, and like even the land goes up, and the walls are still up there. It's like, you know, I've seen this like in other countries, but without the grass and the dirt.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
It was just it really is kind of weird actually. So yeah, I'll send that to you.
Yeah,
guys.
and it plays into the stone tape theory of if they're holding any energy, if they're replaying residual energy, like all that kind of stuff.
What do you guys think? I'll ask you the group up here, and then I'm sure Davey has an opinion on this. Do you guys think anything about with mounds? Thinking mounds that mounds have any importance with like energy and stuff, like those spiral mounds that are like across the United States and other places.
We do have some here in Oklahoma, and they are said to be haunted. I don't know. Because I know that a lot of people say that they're all burial mounds. Not all of them were used for that. They were used for different things. But, you know, I could definitely see the burial mounds being part of the haunting if they're a part of that.
But so much history has been lost too. So, I mean, very well, some of those could absolutely have some paranormal attachments to it or something.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had any experiences with that yet, but that'd be really cool to dive into.
It'd be really cool to be able to see that. Yeah.
Awesome. Davey, have you ever heard of that whole idea with the spiral mounds?
I've heard about was it the serpent mound? A lot of people talk about that one. Yeah.
That one.
I don't know too much about it though, but there's got to be something to it, like obviously.
Yeah, there's even been like you know, even JJ Vance, who has come on my show, he's like an ex-Mormon, or he was growing up a Mormon, and like he can even say like stuff that I've even come out and said, like they even have like their ideas about these mounds and actually have gone and like researched these things. Like, you know, there's people with weird beliefs that think these mounds mean something, you know. And there's probably something behind it. I hate to say it.
I could imagine some guy like up there, like some cult leader, like you know, sacrificing people and the blood's flowing down the spiral. You know what I mean?
Yo, there was an
never know, dude.
No, there was an episode I did, Staircases in the Woods, you know, and there's like all these things that you could find online. Like some of them I do think they're fake, but you know, or they're just like kind of like those stories that you tell. I forget there's a specific name for it, but I did find like some actual real things, and like to me they're a little bit more than just staircases in the woods. They're basically like ritualistic things. And like that's what they were even like known for, like when you actually look them up and find that they do exist. And there was, I think, if not both of them, there was one of them, like Davey was saying, that like had this groove that like ran along and like came down and like went into like a pool type thing. And like they do actually think that this was used as a sacrificial area and the blood was supposed to flow through those things. So I mean, Davey wasn't too awful. I was just saying. Like
that's hardcore. I bet that's like crazy haunted too.
Just like if
that's
that
what was happening,
you have to be a psychopath in order to be somebody like that, right? So there's always been psychopaths throughout history. So who knows?
It was just like the original Jeffrey Dahmer. We can't even
fathom how evil people can be because we're not like that, right?
Yeah.
But like if you can comprehend that level of evil, and they think it's not evil, they think they're doing it for the greater good. Mm-hmm. Like it's like beyond our imagination.
Yeah.
And then what kind of stain does that leave on the world paranormal wise?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, heck yeah.
All right, so I already just asked you guys that, but how about one of your newer investigations? If you want to tell us.
Yeah. Man, I think the biggest one.
I've been to Guthrie haunts too.
Yeah, Guthrie.
Do you have more than one going at a time, or?
So we have. I mean, we're starting to count out. Since we've only been together for such a short amount of time, and we've only gotten so many investigations under our belt as of right now. But we already have some scheduled out that it's just going to keep going on week after weekend. And actually, as the gap that we have, I wouldn't even really call it a gap. We're just, fitting in what we can in the next month going into January. So the last, I think we got like what, 3, 4?
We got 3 so far. We got 3 lined up for December. So we're kind of averaging 2 to 3 a month right now. So we're doing it pretty often.
Yeah. It's happening pretty quick. I mean, we just went through obviously November, Thanksgiving, and got a few under our belts there, and then going into December, we already have 2 lined up.
3.
Actually 3 now.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get in.
Scheduled one tonight.
It just happened literally an hour ago. But like I said, the Lindley Hospital probably the one that probably the most active that we've been to so far. And like I said, going back to when we first went, it wasn't we had a few things going on, a few of the of our equipment going off, but nothing too crazy or wild, but definitely enough to say, okay, this place is haunted. And then us as Boozy Bros now, Pablo came along with us, and it was a completely different story. I mean, we went in there, and it was within 10 minutes we were speaking.
Oh yeah, we got nonstop activity.
Nonstop. I mean, our REM pods were going crazy, and just from the people who have investigated there a lot, the people who own it and actually have been there quite a bit, they actually, educated us more about that building. And they're like, hey, in this room right here, there's this, in this room, there's that. Specifically, in one of the rooms, there's a chair that is said that this, it was a ghost or some type of paranormal entity is just does not like anybody sitting in that chair. And so
it's my chair, damn it.
I told Pablo about it. I told Pablo about it, and he was like, we'll go sit in the chair.
Of course.
So I was like, all right. Get in the chair. When I sat in the chair with the REM pod right there, and it just
immediately.
And our REM pod, we've used it multiple times, and that night was the first night that me and Panda have ever seen it go that far, that consistent.
There's so many nights that we've had nothing touch the REM pod whatsoever. We just put it away because it's useless. But that night at Lindley, it was just crazy.
Yeah, and I don't think we got to go off before I sat in the chair. So once I sat in the chair, that's when it was just going off like crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, even if you had that,
else. And it was just so consistent. And of course, we asked a question like, "Hey, we want to get out of the chair or something like that." We just got a chair and it went off. So we ended up wrapping that one up pretty quick, whether it was dark or not. But it definitely proved from what those people told us. I was like, hey, apparently
sit in the
chair's gonna go off, and sure enough, it did. So that was, our proof right there that is true. The interesting
that was cool.
Yeah, the interesting thing was, and how many we threw a couple of cat balls out too.
Yeah,
I want to get those. I want to get those myself.
Yeah, they're great to have.
They're good, but don't use them outside too much.
Yeah, see, that's why I was asking you. There has to, even just from my experience when I was outside at Ron's, there was just certain things I was just like, I just don't think all of these toys that I have are really gonna work that well outside.
with the wind, like being able to push them and stuff, and then also with like if there's any sort of like moisture or anything, like those things are so easy because they're cheap and they're so easy to break. So you just don't want to.
Or depending on where you live, we got these fat little beetles that fly around everywhere, and they'll hit them and knock them, turn them on. But
dude,
you know,
they'll come in hot.
When you said that, I never even thought about that like being an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like when I was at Ron's, it was cold, so like I guess maybe during the winter it won't be that much of a, won't be as bad then during the as during the spring.
Yeah.
Stuff. But still, I never even thought of that. Like, if that could have went past the REM pod, and we're all thinking something.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's so many like little things that you have to take into account, and that's why we really have to try to debunk whatever we do. Like, it's less of proving that something's there and more of like trying to prove that something isn't, and then whenever we can't explain it, that's what we love.
Yeah.
Real quick, just a real quick question, and then get back to your thing. Just it was a thought that I had that I was thinking about doing myself. I think I got that same spirit box that I think you guys had suggested to me.
Yes.
I have the SB7 or whatever T or something like that. I have seen some people on YouTube suggest to actually remove the antenna so you pick up less feedback from the actual radio stations. Really? When I was using it by Ron's, I was getting just a lot of radio stations, and
that's why.
To me, I was just like, I don't know, like maybe I should remove the antenna. Or have you ever had that problem?
We have, but I've usually just switched it to AM, and it completely works because there's no AM stations here.
I did it, okay.
Have you guys ever heard of people hearing radio stations come through their like baseboard heating?
Their baseboard heating?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
That's crazy.
Okay, so my sister-in-law, who's passed away a long time ago, she told me that like she would hear like songs coming out of the metallic pieces of her baseboard heating, and I was like, I don't think that's a good thing. Like to me, that was kind of freaky.
Yeah.
No, that's horrifying. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me when she told me about it. I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm never going over there.
Yeah, that would freak me the hell out. Shit.
Something new to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got basement heating right behind me.
I would not.
I don't even know.
I don't even know what that could be.
I know. It scared the shit out of me. That's all I know.
Yeah, I'm like trying to.
Because when I went over, I was living with them for a little while, and I was scared to go in their room because of the heating there. I was like, I don't want to hear anything come out of that.
Like, I'd rather be cold than go in there.
Yeah.
Is it just picked up radio signals? I don't know.
If like something's like just right and like I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
possible. I guess.
I mean, somebody may have that knowledge that we just don't even. It's probably just a simple little thing. But honestly, I don't know anything about it. So I mean, if nobody does, I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
New discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sorry, I interrupted you too. Where you're?
But one thing that we that was really interesting that we were really happy to, and hopefully when we release it, it looks good on footage as well as we tell a story, or vice versa. But me and Pablo, we actually kind of split up. Panda went with one group, and me and Pablo went to another. And one of the things they told us about that place too was like, hey, the kitchen doesn't really get a whole lot of activity or anything like that. So kind of took that as a little bit of a challenge, more like, I don't know, let's go check it out just to be sure. I've only been there once, and that's Pablo's first time being in there, and shoot, we got stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, but we're going again in a few weeks. So yeah, we're gonna get even more stuff. But
did you guys have to scream at the ghosts to get them to do anything?
No, actually.
Or is that just Zach?
We didn't really have to.
That's just Zach back.
They were just active. We didn't even have to.
I love busting.
Yeah, and the activity that we got too was just like, oh wow, like we got activity in there. It's like, well, where else in this place can we get activity?
Well, what did you get? What did you get that you would be considering activity?
Just some of our equipment going off, as well as
audible.
I don't think there was a single piece of equipment it didn't react to.
Yeah,
and this is within an enclosed, abandoned hospital. that's known to be haunted. People have been murdered in the parking lot. I mean, there's so much history in this hospital, and there wasn't a single piece of thing, like nothing. Everything went off. Everything was giving us evidence. As the spirit box, audible, talking to us. Yes. We were hearing very intelligent answers. We were getting all kinds of stuff. And even we were with a group of ladies, Haunted Oklahoma, who was getting hit on through the spirit box.
Stuff
and stuff.
About it.
Lots of stuff.
And then we actually we got the first time ever access to the basement. No one's really been down there,
which was huge, and, really big.
And so they were doing the spirit box, the Estes Method down there with the headphones and listening to the spirit box, and we kept hearing the same words over and over, and it was like dirty money, and it was like she lied, stuff like that. And so we left.
I never thought of it. So you put headphones on as you run in the spirit box?
Yeah, so someone
I didn't think
listens
of doing
to
that. That's actually interesting.
And then like you kind of go into like a trance and just
and blindfold yourself too, because it's a sensory deprivation. Yeah,
like you're trying to get like the what was the Hellier God mask, whatever they were calling it.
It's what?
You remember Hellier? They had like this. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like they basically were like blasting white noise in their ears with like thing over their eyes and shit.
Yeah,
you just do a blindfold, put the headphones on, kind of like rock yourself into like a trance and listen for any words that come through on the spirit box and just say them out loud. People outside can like ask questions and stuff, and then you can see if anything corroborates.
But we were doing something a little different. We were doing a dual Estes method where we had a splitter. So we were listening to a singular source, and then two people were listening on it. So that way we could verify that we heard exactly what we heard. Because if I say dirty money, she also says dirty money, then obviously that came through, and that verifies that,
Yeah, and we kept on getting that, and so we left wondering, like, what the heck does that even mean? Like, what relevance does that have?
Yeah.
And then the same group who let us in their Haunted Oklahoma, they went back and they found papers in the reception room. There's still papers everywhere. They found papers that mentioned a lawsuit where a woman was claimed of having stolen like dirty money or something like that, and her ex-husband in the case was actually murdered. So it has some relevance to some documents that were found in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, the stuff like that I would definitely question.
Yeah.
It was a little bit weird because they found it and they sent us the pictures. I was like, that's so crazy, because that's almost exactly what we got on the spirit box.
I was also laughing at that comment. Yeah, but can you spirit beatbox?
That's it. Yeah, I had me laughing actually.
That's good.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of I find it interesting, and I have thought about possibly doing something about what you guys were talking about with the the blindfold and the stuff on the ears. Have you ever heard of the Gateway Project or the Gateway tapes?
No, I'm not familiar with it now.
They're tapes that are like meditative tapes, and like some of them are guided. It's like the CIA even like went and put people into like this place that was like teaching and offering all this.
You did an episode on this.
Yes, yes, and a lot of it uses like a lot of like that static sound in the background. And in my opinion, I only listened to a few of them, but like I started to get physical feelings I would normally get when I start going into a very deep meditation on my own, fucking with magic. So like in my opinion, I do think it is actually helping you do whatever you want to do faster. But because of that, like I have wondered, and maybe what I'm getting at, maybe you guys should go check it out, because in my opinion, I do wonder, just doing that to yourself with those frequencies, could you actually like make something almost happen in a sense?
Like manifest it almost.
Yeah, you remember like how I was talking to you guys last time, how I said I think there's like certain things that you could do, like especially if you were very like in a deep meditation or whatever, where you could start maybe actually creating the paranormal effects by accident. May not even know you're doing it. I would think that's one of them that, in my opinion, could do that.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one to look into.
Well, sure. I think that's a good thing, because a lot of people we've done Estes Method with, they'll start crying after a while because they get so much in that meditative state, and they're like, I don't know why I've been crying. And
it's probably just an emotional feeling in itself.
Yeah.
It's almost cleansing if you had a beautiful experience.
Whenever you're deep in it, you can start to feel physical, like you kind of feel like something touching you, or like you kind of feel your hair move a little bit, and you're just like, this is so weird.
And you kind of forget there's people around you, like your friends are around you asking the questions. You just get so lost into it to where you just, like you said, you feel like you start getting like just weird itches around you, and you just start getting jumpy. That's why most of the time you see people who are under the Estes Method, they'll come up and tap on the shoulder, and the first thing they do is flinch. Like, that's like, oh god, they weren't expecting that.
No,
there's definitely something about white noise and radio static that has some kind of connection to the spirit realm, because it's been used so many times in film, like Poltergeist, for example. The TV, the static, the white noise, the daughter could be heard through there. And why, when I came on your show and told you about my astral travel, my first astral travel experience, when I was leaving my body, I could hear white noise.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
My heartbeat was so loud. I was like, boom.
Yeah,
I've
had
also
that.
heard like
heartbeat.
high-pitched ringing and like radio static.
Yes,
that's crazy. I've had an experience exactly like that.
Yes, I've had some very similar things to that as well.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's crazy, dude. I haven't heard anybody else that had an experience like that.
Yeah, the way that you just explained it, I feel so related to exactly what you explained too, and that's things I've told people almost word for word of how I felt during.
Mine, I felt like I was floating in space and I couldn't feel my body at all, but I was completely conscious.
Wow.
Yeah. I was literally floating, but I was completely aware as though I'm talking to you right now. I was floating and everything, but I did hear that ringing too. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like when you get scared and like we're investigating. If you ever go and do something by yourself and nothing happens, you just get that bad feeling, and just the sound of everything just amplifies, and like you just get that weird panic. Nothing's happened, but you just feel like somebody's watching you or something really bad's about to happen. You're just sitting there trying to prepare for what's to come, and just any little noise, something drops, you just you freak a little bit.
Yeah.
One of our investigations at a movie theater, and that was something happened. Like everything was fine. I was by myself. She went to the bathroom, so it's just me in the theater, and just everything, just this ringing, and happens throughout.
Is it almost like you're almost like going deaf, almost like a ringing silence?
Yeah, like tinnitus or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like that, but it's really loud. It's very apparent.
You can hear the whooshing and all that.
Yeah.
I do think there's actual change going on inside your head when that happens. I mean, I'm not going to get all into it, but I do think that's like side effects. I do think that has started like, my opinion, if you're going to have a real magical experience, like there's going to be a difference in the way your body works. It's not going to be working the normal way.
You'll form new neurons or something in your brain.
You start shutting things on and start shutting things off, and like and like the thing is, it's like if you've never even ever been close to having an experience like this, when it does happen, you could be like so baffled and confused.
Right. You think about it like it messes up your sense of reality. Yeah. Heck yeah.
I would like to actually hear like an actual scientist kind of try to figure out what's going on during astral travel, but they automatically shut down any kind of mention of astral travel because, that's bullshit, right?
That's crazy.
But like for me, it's like I'll never forget that day, and that was like 30 years ago.
You got to.
I was like 13 years old on a Christmas morning, and I was so tired, and it just happened.
You know what you do?
And I was a zombie the entire rest of the day on Christmas Day because I was like, what the fuck just happened to me?
You told me that one. Christmas Day one. I remember. I think you told that on my show, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I remember the Christmas Day, and I was like, oh.
I even like mentioned it to my brother, and like he was like, "Oh, you watch too many movies, right?" So I had nobody to talk to about it, and I just sat down and like watched movies all day during Christmas Day. Didn't interact with my family because I was so terrified of what just happened.
Yeah, and back then I feel like the paranormal wasn't as accepted nearly as much as now. It was like pretty bad.
Yeah, this was early '90s for me.
Oh yeah, big time.
Davey, if you want to find doctors or people and like psychiatrists or whatever talking about astral travel or like even dreaming, just look for occultists that were psychiatrists, and you'll find people them. Like they'll be talking about it. Unfortunately, even like Carl Jung and like Alan Watts, they actually dived into ideas like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow!
Yeah. Very interesting stuff. So, all right, yeah, I know I kind of like asked you like some of the things I guess like you considered as evidence, and then you talked about the dirty money. What else happened? Because I think you said there was a bunch of other stuff that happened there as well, right?
We've had like we've caught some EVPs where we'd hear footsteps moving around and there would be nobody there. But
footsteps was the one that got me the most because it sounded so clear as day to me right now.
You turn around expecting someone to be there because we had those other ladies with us in the building and anticipating that they would be right there behind us because we all thought, that someone was going to be there. We even set a proximity alarm there where if anything came within that proximity, it would have set it off.
And it's sensitive. It's very sensitive. So anybody and we were testing it out. I'm like, you can't even get the other thing. It's going to go off.
Then we turn around. It wasn't there. Even our audience on the live was like, what was that? That was so weird.
That was a weird thing because it's just three, and like that's the first time I've ever heard actual footsteps like that close. Footsteps. Yeah, and like most of the time, if you hear footsteps, it's usually somewhere distant upstairs or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, this was 10 feet away from me and Pablo, and like you could, if I'm not sure how the footage turned out, but I just know that I reacted and looked, and he did the same thing. We just both turned and looked in the same direction where it came from. That was the first time I ever encountered that, was
the alarm didn't go off. We were wanting it to go off, and
then about a minute later, one of the other investigators came down, and the music box went off, and then there he was, and that was also another reassurance. It was like, okay, so the music box would have went off if
he walked through.
If he would have walked through here, to anybody.
And it's interesting. We talked about white noise too, because we also had entities or something trying to communicate through our live. Even no other devices. We would hear, and we reviewed the live and everything. You'd hear words. You'd hear static after after we'd ask a question. You'd hear it through the live, but no one outside could possibly hear it. And even our audience was getting frustrated because they're like, "What is that? Why didn't they react to that?" And then we had no idea it was going on until they said something. And then we even had someone else bring up our live on their phones while we were there.
Yes.
And you could clearly hear something.
Hear voices talking through the interference on the live. It was crazy.
This was just on a cell phone, so it's like,
and the audience experienced it too.
Yeah, with
the
us.
Audience could hear it.
That's fucking awesome,
right?
Yeah. It was nuts. And we even had people say like, "Oh, if you can get the ghost to set that cat ball off or set the REM pod off, we'll subscribe." And like, "Ghost, can you please set that off?" And then boom, immediately.
Yes.
Wow. It was
we were
so
like,
cool.
"Thank you, spirits."
We actually had it on the thing too.
Pablo pulls the fishing line.
Same the audio too is that we were in the surgery room. I think how they
the surgery
they called it. And I swear with everything that I saw like this white mist, like right at the corner of my eye, but like close enough to where I could see it, and it just went straight across and was gone. It was just like a weird little white mist, very, faint and everything. And it went by us, and I was like, "Did anybody just see that right there?" And of course, someone knows what I was talking about, and then the audio shuts off, and you can't we're still videoing, but the audio is just static in the background. You can't hear anything. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there questioning, like, there was a white mist that just went right past here, and later on, one investigator was like, "Yeah, we've seen that, but it's crazy in that right when I say that, if we slow down the footage, there's actually like an orb-like,
like a mist.
Yeah, there was.
There was an orb that went straight right in front of the camera, and the audio cut out. It's strange. It happens back. When I said, "Did anybody just see that?" You see this orb go up, and Pablo's audio cuts out.
But it was like a misshapen one. It wasn't like, it didn't look like a regular like dust particle.
Yeah.
We always try to analyze for that too.
Yeah.
But it was really weird.
Yeah, we kept going back and forth, and I was like, okay, if it's anything, I don't know what it is. If it's not what we think it is, but it happened back to back to back on all three of those things, which was really.
At 2 weeks, we're going back.
Yeah,
we're freaking excited. That place was active. Yeah.
And then That place, if you're by yourself down anywhere in that place,
you get a little bit spooked.
You get spooked. I don't know what it is. You just go into a random room by yourself, and you just get like the most like darkest feeling. It's so strange. I don't know what it is.
And the owner claims there's an entity in the basement. Then that's why she never let anybody ever go under there.
Yes.
And really dark.
Even while we were down there, she said, "This is getting too bad, and we have to leave. This thing's getting angry." So, there's multiple things there. Absolutely.
I really find that thing interesting with the camera and even getting the results that way.
Yeah,
it was crazy. We had people just commenting like, "It's happening again. It's happening again." After, and it was funny because it was only after we asked questions. It wasn't while we were talking. It was just while we were asking questions, and then while we were waiting for a response on any of our equipment, it started doing the static interference on the live, and then you could hear voices like kind of trying to talk through the static. It was kind of
it's very intelligent.
Yeah. Some type of energy, whatever it was that was there, had a lot of energy for it to mess up our mic. Not only that, and then just all of our equipment constantly going off. Like it was just it just did kind of what it wanted.
Supercharged.
It just kind of felt like it did what it wanted.
Do you guys use any of those like ion things or those things that like create the noise to help kind of like generate a field?
Like an ionizer?
Yeah. You guys use that at all?
That's similar to our Wimhurst machine where it generates static, and it creates kind of like static in the air, but nothing that like ionizes it. Or maybe it does ionize it because it doesn't look like it.
There's also EM pumps as well.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like in a situation, if you would have used that, if you would have picked up more, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's always like a thought in my mind, like if I was to like, you know, when I do start actually doing more ghost hunting, I have like wondered about getting some of the supposed tools that can help kind of like ionize or, you know, put stuff into the air. If I think I'm in a situation that is getting, you know, if I'm getting results and maybe if I want to see if that helps boost it.
I think that's a good idea because there's certain places where investigators will go a lot. Like any famous place, I feel like has been kind of harder to get activity, and you usually have to do something to give the entity energy. Yeah. Like the Witch's Grave we went to, it was very weak responses. But then we started getting reactions when we tried your candle method that we tried. Remember we discussed that?
Oh shit! Nice.
The quick burning.
Yeah, exactly. And it started working. Then we started getting more intelligent responses because it had something to get energy from. I guess
one of the candles, they were all in the same situation. One of the candles just blew out, and then the other two were still lit.
And the one that blew out was the one that was like burned down the fastest. Like it was going down really fast. Yeah.
And we ended up using that same method again at a different location, and it
was that other location was also supercharged.
No, I'm telling you, that just sound corny or pat myself on the back, but when I had just noticed at one point when I was doing ritual shit, I was doing ritual shit, and like one of my candles was burning way fucking faster than normal.
I think there's some credence to that. I think there's definitely something to be researched into with that.
Yeah, that was a good thing you suggested. Yeah,
it was awesome.
You know, it's so funny when I went to Ron's, I forgot to bring the candles.
NY, dude. I had a dream maybe last week or a week and a half ago, and it was crazy, dude. There was this girl in my basement, and she was playing with a Ouija board, and I was like, "No, I don't think you want to do that." She's like, "No, don't worry." And she starts like speaking like backwards and shit, like casting a spell, and I'm like, I think you better stop now. She's like, "Oh, okay. You're scared, right?" And I'm like, "Now are you going to do a banishing ritual?" It was crazy because I heard you, NY, talking about like banishing rituals, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Okay." And she starts speaking backwards, like, "Oh, it's Steve." I was like, "Whoa, dude!"
It was a fucking Twin Peaks type shit. Holy
That's terrifying.
At one point, is it acceptable to drop kick someone?
Drop kick that person right out of your dream.
Cool. I'm gonna go take a piss.
Yeah.
I have the craziest fucking dreams, man. I swear.
Dude, isn't dreams something that's very interesting about when it comes to that? Because I've had dreams. I think we've all had some dreams that, whether it's before or after, I've done investigations where like I'll have a terrible dream the night after or even beforehand that next thing you know, it's like you go into this place after this dream, and it has like a weird. It seems like it's got a connection.
Or they come true. Like
mine come true. Yeah,
mine come true like a freaky amount. Like,
I've never had that.
Really? What?
Yeah.
I've had it happen to me a couple times.
Yeah, I've had some that are so bad because I've had those ones.
Yeah,
I've had some really bad ones. I'm like, dude, ears are perked left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I want to kind of do some more research into how dreams tie into the paranormal as well.
I don't think we really know jack. Well, I think the normal people really don't know jack shit about what's actually happening when you're dreaming.
Right.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, like we're told, like I understand, like all right, yeah, you need to do it so your body can refuel and discard this and that, but it's like, all right, that's like the most mundane, most basic.
If my dreams were coming true, the world would have been ended like 10 times already.
Thank you for not having dreams come true.
Yeah. Mine will be like very simple, but like they'll come true. Like people will say something, I'll be in a certain situation, certain environments,
right,
and every little aspect of it will be exactly how my dream is, and it's freaky.
I had
That's wild.
Yet.
Yeah.
And if I do, I'm gonna definitely announce it, but I haven't had that good yet.
I had a dream about a location. We haven't even booked it. We were just talking about going, and I had a really bad dream about that place, and I'm really nervous to go.
Oh yeah, we have friends that are investigators that they took a break for 2 months after doing it very frequently, almost every week. They stopped doing it for 2 whole months now because the entity there was so strong and so demonic that they don't even know what they're doing now.
And I had a bad dream about it, so I'm really scared.
Or nervous.
Hearing their reaction, like you know when somebody's like a general, like, you know, genuine reaction to something that's scary, you can hear it in their voice and like the way they reacted. Like
they're like, no, that was real.
No, I'm not doing this. And they left. And the more I started watching that video, the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, I think this is probably the first place that I'm actually like, man, what am I going to leave if I leave this place? Am I going to take something with me? Like, that's actually the first time I'm like, what am I putting myself into, and what am I going to leave with? And that place,
that's what scares the shit out of me about ghost hunting and why I've never done it.
Right,
bringing something home, that like waking up and seeing something there standing over you. That's happened to me a few times, and it messes with you, man.
Yeah,
we brought something home like once or twice.
Yeah.
And I mean, I brought a haunted doll into my home, so that's my fault.
From the
not me. I went to.
It was
from Austria in the 1930s.
Yeah,
Austria.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play?
Not Chucky.
Yeah, I was tap dancing around that living room with some sage, dude. I was not. I was out of there, man.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm cool. I like to go find them, but I don't like them finding me. You know, I'm not about that.
Have you guys ever had any experiences where you've been touched by something?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I've been scratched.
Yeah, she's gotten full.
That is. I think that was the first time. Like, that was actually really early into my investigation world. Was the first time I ever got touched for me, and that was I already acted like somebody touched me. Like, I'm sitting there already kind of freaked out, and I felt like the part of my jeans get pulled, like right where my knee was, off to the side, and it was just like 2 tugs, and like she was right next to me. I almost slapped her, like I slapped my leg.
And at the same time, I felt something on my like shoulder, and so it was like something went back and forth between me and him.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
That was the first time I was like, oh wow, they can touch us, can't?
Have you ever had anything touch you?
No.
No? Oh
No.
man.
Not that I don't.
Just my uncle.
That's not paranormal.
Sorry. I got a sick sense of humor.
That's funny.
He's like, I can get away with it on here.
It wasn't a ghost either.
Oh,
No, I've never had that, but I've heard disembodied voices.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's the freakiest.
Really?
Yeah. In my house when I was like 11 years old, and it happened 3 times, and the 3rd time somebody else heard it with me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So. Sorry.
That's like confirmation, like what you just heard, you heard it for sure.
Right, and it was the same voice every 3 times.
Oh.
What?
And The crazy thing is, when I first, like, this stayed with me for my whole life. And just a couple years ago, when I first started doing this podcast, I used to keep driving by that old house every now and then. Nobody was ever out there, and I didn't want to be that guy that knocked on the door to like ask them anything. But one day I drove by there after I started my show, and I saw a car there, and all the doors in the trunk were open. And I met the kids that lived there. They're like early 20s, late teens, whatever. Mm. And I asked them if they ever had any experiences. And the guy was like, I don't believe in that shit, but my sister does. And then his sister had a big smile on her face, and she came over to me and she told me that something brushed the small of her back like a hand. Mm-hmm. And another time it whispered her own name in her ear. Ooh. It said Katie, right? And I was like, holy shit. So this was like confirming everything that happened to me. That's you know? Yeah. And then I gave them my contact info, and then the older sister that I never met, she contacted me and said, are you the one that used to live in my house? I said, yeah. She's like, I've had so many, like several experiences here, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, I'm curious what you have to say. Yeah. And I invited her on to be a guest, and she pretty much she agreed once, and then she said, if something came up, I can't do it. And then I kept asking her, and she kept ghosting me. Whoa. And I was thinking like, maybe she doesn't want to drudge up any kind of negative energy in that house. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe it like can hear you talking.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Following you on.
And then the person that did hear the voice with me when I was a kid, I contacted her years later on Facebook, and she said, no, that never happened.
What?
Yeah.
That is creepy.
Something's weird around.
Yeah, that's a little suspicious. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I remember when it did happen, like when I went to get her a drink, and she said thank you, and we both heard this deep voice in the living room and said thank you. Oh yeah. And she grabbed my hand really tight. She said, did you just fucking hear that? I said, yeah. And then we went to the living room, and there was nothing there, nothing on. It was daytime too. And she said, let's go on the porch and wait for everybody else to get home, because she was babysitting me at the time, right?
Yeah. No thank you.
I said, yeah, okay.
Jeez, heck yeah.
No thank you. That's crazy.
It's always, every time it was a deep booming voice, but it was disembodied, so there's like a little bit of an echo to it when it spoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very strange.
But you can like sense it that it's not like a human voice too. That's what freaks me out too.
And like
it wasn't exactly human. It was almost like it was coming out of like a tube or something.
That's like the uncanny.
You know when you speak into like a paper towel tube?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of what it sounded like.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's like the uncanny valley, but with that's crazy.
It's like a styrofoam cup in a string or a tin can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
The one time me and Panda heard one too, and it was so crazy because it sounded like how we're talking right now, but just like volume was turned down. So like it wasn't like a whisper, but it came as a whisper volume, but it sounded like a normal audio.
No, I heard it at full blast.
Well, she heard it right next to her ear. I heard it from where she heard it, which was, you know, in that same area, but I heard it like very quietly, but
10 feet away from
and I turned and looked, and she was looking at somebody else like, okay, we all heard that kind of thing. That was freaky.
Yeah, it was a full like girls giggle.
Yeah.
And there was no one around us. I mean, there was a lady who walked out like 2 minutes later, and we were like, did you just laugh? And she's like, no.
Yeah,
and
no.
I was like, that was a high pitched voice, and your voice is not that high pitched.
I thought it was. The funny thing was, it came from their side, and I thought it was them, and they were looking at each other. I was like, okay, what the heck?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a little bit scary.
Man,
a buddy of mine, back in the day when I was in high school, he was never a believer in any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Until one day he was at a mutual friend's house of ours, and he was at the house talking to her brother, and he looked down at the driveway, and he saw her sitting at the bottom of the driveway on her bum, and she was like rocking back and forth and crying. So he went over to her. He's like, Joe, what's wrong? She said, you see that lady over there? And he's like, yeah, what about her? And she dropped her backpack or her handbag, picked it up, took a few more steps, dropped the handbag again, bent to pick it up and looked back at them and vanished.
What the heck?
Oh my god.
He was like, what the fuck was that? She said, she died 3 weeks ago.
Whoa!
It was one of her neighbors. Yeah,
goosebumps right now.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps too. That would mess me up.
Yeah, dude. He said I was never a believer in ghosts until then. And like, see, all it takes is one little experience, man.
That for sure would make you believe.
Yeah, that is all it takes. We have tons of people that are in our circle that were skeptics that end up becoming not skeptics, either like just through us or through means like that. I mean, that's insane.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. And my brother too. One of my I have 3 brothers, and him and I were he was in the military and he came home to visit, and him and I were having a few beers, whatever, whiskey, whatever. We're drinking, and he tells me this story how him and my uncle were fishing one night out on the lake in a boat. And they could hear, they weren't catching any fish. It was like late, like 2-3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And they could hear like drops in the water, and they're like, oh, okay, let's cast out there, right? And then they cast out that direction, and all of a sudden it was in another direction. And they're like, what the fuck? So they reeled in and they cast back out again. And then all of a sudden they both heard a whisper saying, help me. And they looked back and they saw a glowing hand coming to them in the water.
Oh.
And they were like, they both like,
yeah, really?
Let's get the fuck out of here. And they took off. And it's like, are you shitting me? And then he's like, no, ask your uncle Bill. And I'm like, okay. So indeed, they had us over for Thanksgiving dinner one day. And I asked him the story, and he told me the exact same story. I was like, holy shit, dude.
My God.
I see. That's where I would struggle, because I'm like, I would want to help them. Like, oh, okay, let me help you out.
Yeah. No, they were just scared shitless.
Yeah.
Then you would drown.
But it's like, why would something want to like, what is its purpose for doing that? I wonder. Like, is it trying to grab you and drag you down, or what the heck?
Or is it genuinely like needing help?
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing when we go investigate. We're always asking these questions, ask them to make contact with us.
Yeah.
But when we're just going about our day-to-day thing, we come across something, or if you're sitting at night watching TV, not doing anything, you start, like you said, hear a disembodied voice or anything like that. You're just kind of like, what are those energies trying to do?
Yeah.
What are they trying to do?
These are the things that another story is, I've had so many things happen. I'm sitting there, it was lunch break, and my buddy lived right close to the school. He was my best friend at the time. And we went to his place for lunch, and we started playing video games in his bedroom. We're eating lunch, whatever. And then all of a sudden, dude, his door was like, we were facing his door, and the door just it started slowly going like this, and all of a sudden it went boom and shut.
Oh.
And it went like this. The doorknob went and locked.
What the heck?
Yeah. We fucking dropped our controllers. We're like fucking struggling to get the door open. We're like, let's get the fuck back to school, man. Dude, it was so crazy.
Yeah, the first time you ever wanted to go back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And we like ran.
It had its creepy
like,
out if you thought going back to school was a good idea.
Yeah.
That's so funny that I had a story that happened to me like that, where I actually came home from school, and my little brother wasn't there for some reason. I know it was just me, and I came home and I walked in the house, unlocked the door, and as I'm walking to the living room, I hear something from my mom and dad's room, which this is known by my entire family. Something about that part of the house is, I don't know what it is, but I'm walking in and I just hear like a door. I don't know. I just heard commotion back there. I knew nobody was home. So I went right back outside and sit in that front porch until my older brother came home from football practice. And I was not going back in the house.
Why is the porch the safe spot?
No,
It's still
yeah,
part of the house.
Yeah, it could have been like a robber in my house, and I went to the front yard. And I was like,
I'll just wait for you to come out.
But that was something else. I waited. It was like 2 hours until he came home. I sat out there. No, it was during the summer. I must have been doing something else, not school. But yeah, I remember sitting out there in the heat, just like, nope, I am not going back in that house until someone else is here.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Dude, I used to live in a place, like a community where a bunch of families where we believed were committing satanic rituals. And the worst thing I ever seen, this is literally the worst thing I ever seen in my life, was someone had a dead horse, and in that horse was the stomach was cut open, and they had like another dead horse stuffed inside of it like this. And then in that horse was like a baby one, all like mangled like this. It was like a mountain of meat. Yeah, I'm not even, this is messed me up. It is the nastiest smelling thing I ever smelled in my life. And then all of a sudden, like these families all around us started moving and disappearing, and no one knew where the heck they were going. So me, the adventurous person I was at the time with my friends, we ended up sneaking around, getting in one of these houses because they were unlocked. And they had these, it's called money for the dead. It's like a cultural thing in Asian culture where they'll give it to try to, I don't know what the real purpose is, but in the bathroom was pictures of babies of different races. Like there was an African-American baby, an Asian baby, like so just a bunch of baby photos in the bathroom. Like what the heck that was about, I don't know. But
that sounds.
But not only were we experiencing all this phenomena, we had to leave ourselves because it got so bad. My father woke up with scratches. He wasn't a believer, but he woke up with 3 scratches on his face. My grandfather, who didn't speak English, would like say, oh, who was that lady out in the field, this lady in the purple dress that I used to have dreams about too. And there was just so much stuff, but we had that was messed up. The horse thing, that I've never seen anything like that. And I've never even heard of anything like that. And that me and 2 other witnesses were there, and nastiest thing I ever smelled. But yeah, that's probably like one of my worst ones.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good one.
That's
some freaky shit.
Yeah. This is like a small town too in Oklahoma, so it was like just extra creepy. And everyone was, a lot of people were Wiccan too. I didn't know if that had any correlation, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
It sounds like it would probably be more like almost like kind of like folk magic, where it's almost it starts getting very specific, like rituals and like practices that are done almost like in just like areas.
Yeah.
You know
and horses are crazy expensive, so to
it's not like
get rid of 3 like that,
yeah,
like what the heck? Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, for all you know,
That
it could have
be,
been
that had to
diseased
be like,
animals.
you have to have like PTSD after that shit.
Dude, yeah. It made me question, like, what kind of neighborhood am I freaking living in right now?
Where am I?
Yeah. What is going on? Like, and running into that house, finding that stuff. And we'd often have freaking things in our house move. We'd see shadowed people running across the floor. I mean, that place was cursed. And even now, I visited that house actually recently out of curiosity. My house is abandoned, roof caved in, everything. Like we sold it, and I guess something happened after that. I don't know.
That's crazy.
But that whole neighborhood is full of abandoned houses now.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody got murdered.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought
Silent Hill.
It was extra weird.
Silent Hill.
Government helicopters, or we assumed government helicopters, but why would there be helicopters in the middle of the country floating around this creek all the time? You know what I mean? It was super weird. Lots of weird stuff, man.
Experimental village or city.
Maybe that's what was going on. Who the heck knows?
And maybe that's why you got.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh man, Dave, I didn't even think of something like that. Oof, hope not.
Yeah.
Is there any other? Do you have any other things that you have done since the last time that
we went to a place called Guthrie Haunts. It's like an actual like haunted attraction. Like you go to like with the jump scare actors and stuff, but it's in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and it's actually haunted. Like they do the scaring and the acting and stuff, but it actually has spirits there. And
which based on just the setup alone, we highly recommend anybody that can go to that place to go. It is cool.
It's 33,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So it's humongous.
That was a good one. Oh, it's
I can't hear you.
I think your mic's out.
Yeah, it was a hard one.
Hey, yo. Heck yeah.
But yeah, so it's 33,000 square feet, and it's like super cool looking. Like they have all like we got lost, I think 30 times.
Yeah,
while we were in there. Like it's so like winding and long, but it's super cool, and we got some crazy stuff there. The history behind it, they don't know for sure why it's haunted, but the owner he brought a lot of stuff from Logan County Memorial Hospital whenever it shut down. It was a hospital before statehood and everything, so it's an old hospital. He brought back artifacts and props and stuff from that hospital, so they think that the spirits are attached to everything that he brought back for the haunted attraction.
Yeah,
which based off what we caught, I believe that can definitely happen because it happened in the spot where there was a hospital bed, obviously in the hospital bed. And it was
crazy.
It was nuts how much and how like everything that we had going off was
and it
funny.
was intelligent too.
Yeah, very intelligent.
We'll have that episode out here pretty soon. We have one more coming up. I did another solo investigation in Japan to the last Shogun's grave, where the last Shogun was buried. That's supposed to be haunted in Yanaka Cemetery. So we're gonna have that episode this Friday. Then the next one we did was the witch's grave, where this lady was digging up her husband in order to revive him and performing voodoo rituals and whatever kind of rituals she can get a hold of. And she kept doing this so much to the point where the locals ended up encasing him in concrete so that she would stop because it was getting so out of hand. So yeah. We had a few more, but this month is going to be really heavy for investigations.
We're going to be busy.
and months to come as well. It's going to be something else.
Yeah, something
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Liza or Lisa, right?
Yeah, so it's just interesting. I do want to add to the horse thing. She said in 2020 there was a series of attack on horses linked to magic rituals in France and the United Kingdom. The eyes and the ears were removed, the genitals were removed, and like voodoo dolls were placed near the incidents.
Holy crap.
Right. You know, and I have made, like, my opinion, it's just my opinion. I do think, you know, the mafia is in its own way a secret society, and I do think somewhere at the top there's a magician involved with what's going on. And, you know, you always hear things about them on, like, horse heads and shit, leaving them at places. So
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, who knows, like, if there is, like, you know, multiple layers or meanings of.
Right.
Yeah, I know from what I saw that the horse was heavily mutilated for sure, but I didn't look for the eyes or the.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you weren't.
Yeah, like, I was horrified. The stench alone is enough. Like, you smelt it down the way, and we were like, "What was that?" And we went and checked it out, and it was repulsive, absolutely repulsive.
Nasty.
But I mean, the genitals were definitely gone because they like cut it down the middle, and it's like they opened the flaps of the stomach and shoved another one in there and repeated the process for some horrifying reason.
Horses are heavy, so how do you do that?
And even worse, it was next to there's barbed wire fence right here on both sides, and a little gate and a big creek that runs in the middle of all this. So when you're looking at the layout of everything, you're like, how the hell did this horse even get here in the first place? And second, how did they get three of them here in this positioning and to be perfectly laid out how they were? Was just insane. and they also had those money for the dead on the trees posted throughout the forest. But from the research I did, I thought that those things were kind of for to make spirits go away. So maybe they were doing it to make them go away for something. I don't know, but
it's like when it's like when people put coins on people's eyes after they die to cross the river Styx, right?
Yeah,
got that payment.
Probably the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. But that's feared into my mind forever.
Those
for sure.
Horses.
Yeah. But this was like in 2012. Like this was a while ago. This was beyond 2020 for sure. So I don't know if it has any correlation.
That's weird though. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Somebody brought up something in the chat, and I've heard this excuse for Long Island. I do question if maybe it could be the fact that there is a lot of Indian burial grounds on Long Island, but I also think there's other
Amityville.
I do wonder if there's other things here. Like Nikola Tesla was going to come here and build one of his things. So it's, you've had Nazis here on one of our islands off of Long Island doing experiments prior and after World War II. And we have Brookhaven Labs. It's just a lot of weird shit, in my opinion. Something's up with Long Island. But
are there ley lines there, I wonder?
Huh?
I wonder if there's ley lines there.
I have thought that. Yeah, I have thought about looking at maybe whatever. But I've heard a lot of times they'll use when I grew up as a kid, if we thought something was haunted, it was it's the Indians that the house was buried over. That's how we chalked up to things being haunted. Oh, it's the Indian burial ground. It's Long Island.
You took the headstones, but you didn't remove the bodies.
Yeah. Is there any places out by where you're from that might be known for that? In Oklahoma.
Yeah, pretty much all of Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's a lot. Holy cow, there's quite a bit. There's, for instance, we have a location coming up where there was a hospital that they built on, that they actually were tearing it down because of financial reasons, discovered that there was mass graves, mass burials underneath that were Native American too. And then they rebuilt it, but then ended up having so many issues and financial stuff. Right. Doctors performed bad practices, all kinds of stuff, ended up shutting down. Lots of bad things happened in that hospital, but we have tons of stuff. Oklahoma is really bad about where we've erased a lot of our history. I mean, for instance, a lot of us just learned about the Black Wall Street and stuff like that.
And then the Osage murders, the King of Flower Moon.
Yeah, we're learning so much more that we should have honestly known, but so much of our history has been erased, and we are discovering a lot of places like that. There's so many places with Indian burial grounds.
There's a lot of places here that tie to the Trail of Tears, which I'm sure has some heavy residual energy all along where that trail was and everything. And we have the Spyro Mounds here. We have the Osage murders up in Fairfax, I believe, which I'm sure up there is super haunted as well. So it's just pretty much all over because we're so entrenched with Native American history and all that. So
yeah, there's a lot.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, they say the Trail of Tears started in Tulsa, right? There's a tree and everything that they dedicated to, and in downtown.
I think that's kind of where it ends and where they kind of started dispersing Native Americans all throughout.
Yeah, they went all through from Florida all the way to.
Yeah, we have very rich Native American history for sure.
That's another thing about the movie Killers of the Flower Moon, is that I don't think that's a known thing about here, just as anybody around. Nobody really knew about it. There's a book about it, but not really anything that's taught in school or anything like that. And so, when it kind of came out and everyone's like, what's the movie about? Everyone starts looking into it. It's like, oh, wow. And then because of that, you start looking into more different places around Oklahoma, which is majority of tribes. You got your Osage and you got Cherokee, Skokie Creek, everything like that. It's Choctaw. And they all have their different history there. I know a few about it. I don't think I hope a lot of people remember or know about. But it's one of those things that when you come across it, you're like, oh, let me start looking into it, and it'll be related to whatever this part of woods are, or this, building, and it's pretty cool though. Yeah, there's a lot of places around here for sure.
Yeah,
Wild.
I was just assuming that there probably was, but.
Have you guys been in contact with Julia from Cosmic Peach podcast?
We have not.
No.
Oh, I'm going to send you a recommendation because she is in Oklahoma and she's all about what you guys are into as well.
Loki.
We would love that.
She's fucking cool as shit, dude. I do horror movie reviews with her and shit.
That's awesome.
Cool.
She's a doll for sure.
I totally forgot that she. Well, yeah. That's a very good suggestion.
Yeah, we would. That would be so cool. We love another Okie.
Yeah, I know she's. She's definitely into the paranormal, and she definitely loves to bust on Zach Baggins. So.
Yeah.
We're noticing that's like a common theme.
Oh, it's just like kind of getting like, come on, dude, really?
She's had some crazy encounters too. Like the one that stands out to me is what she told me about her sister walking by her doorway in her bedroom, and then she went to look out, and she's like, where the fuck is she? And she goes to her sister's bedroom. She's not in there. And she's like, what the fuck? And 20 minutes later, half an hour later, I could be screwing up the story, but her sister actually comes home.
Ooh.
And she's like, were you here before? She's like, no, I just got home. She's like, dude, what the fuck? I saw you walk by my doorway. So she's talking about how ghosts can mimic other people.
Yes.
Ooh,
yes,
yeah.
they can.
People that are even alive.
Yes.
Wow.
We went to Missouri State Penitentiary, just me and Adam, and we down in 3D, so that's where the criminally insane were held for a long time. It's actually below death row, which is funny, but they have mimics down there that mimic a lot of the staff there. They mimic some of the cops that keep watch. Sometimes they mimic you to yourself, you hear your own voice.
Oh man.
Okay,
I don't need another me walking around.
I would actually throw up if I heard my own voice talking to me.
Dude, that'd be so crazy.
A doppelgeist.
I am Dave from the future.
I am your conscience.
Doppelgeist. That's what Dan calls it.
I like that. That's a good one.
I like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. There's so much that we don't know. And there's so many people that are just completely oblivious to it, and they'd rather be oblivious. Like when I told you how my brother's wife at the time, she denied that experience happened. Mm-hmm. It's like you either go through life questioning the fringe areas of life, or you just take the blue pill and eat the steak and remain in the matrix and stay oblivious.
Yep.
Yeah.
I took the red pill a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take the blue pill. We don't. We're ghost hunters. We don't do that. So yeah.
I actually just watched Matrix Resurrections yesterday for the first time.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. He was have you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's dumping all the blue pills in his sink, and he's like, fuck, and then that's when all the shit starts happening again, right?
Yeah.
You can't, no amount of blue pills is going to bring you back to the man-made reality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do agree with that.
I just think it's interesting how I don't feel like we're ever going to get to the bottom of the paranormal. I feel like it's always going to be a question mark because, at this point, it's just whether or not you believe or you don't believe, but there's no physical proof that there is or isn't spirits. And I feel like at least in our lifetimes, while we're still alive, I don't feel like we're ever going to be able to 100% prove that they exist.
Sure.
I mean, that's what we want to try to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
probably get to 95%.
Yeah, 95%.
And that's what you're shooting for, right?
There's always going to be that little 1% that we don't know anything about. It's just
Just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was totally looking forward to talking to you guys, because like I'm a believer, right? So, and my oldest brother is also a believer. He believes his wife who passed away, who heard the songs coming through her baseboard heating, he feels that she's still with him, and she speaks to him.
Man,
you know, and every time he hears her or sees a sign from her, he's like, holy shit. And he shares it with me right away. He's like, dude, she was with me again, you know?
Oh, wow.
It's so crazy, dude.
And that's what you hope for, is that you'll still be able to hear from
reunite.
They pass away.
Yeah, that's probably the most rewarding aspect of paranormal investigating, is maybe finding answers for someone who's hurting a little bit. We get a lot of messages in our DMs and stuff for people that are just they've gone through things. Their wives were murdered. They died in a car wreck. They just lost their son, etc. And we do try our best to help them and help understand that stuff. But it would be so awesome if we could initiate contact and just get those last goodbyes or something like that's something we definitely hope for sure. Like, just
I feel that everybody's experiences with the paranormal is just for them for some reason.
Yeah.
And whatever reason it is, it could be, for me, it was me believing in or going through, because I was raised in a non-religious household. Mm-hmm. But when all this stuff started happening to me, I looked at the Bible, I looked at the Quran, I looked at all these holy books, and I was like, you know what? I think God is just the creator of whatever we're living in, and he created our consciousness, and we're all a part of him. And that's kind of the quote-unquote conclusion that I came up with for my own, spiritual journey.
For sure.
And I think the reason why I had all these experiences was for me to go, like the prodigal son, go back home, right? And trust and believe in that source.
Yeah, it definitely helps to like believe in something more than just what we see and feel right now, because like if we just went based off of this is all we get and that's it, like that's a little bit dismal. And you really want to believe in something.
That's boring. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I do want to add this, and like maybe it's because of like just things that I've even studied and covered with the occult rejects. Like going back a lot of history with like occultists or even saints of the church that were like open occultists or alchemists, and like even just going by some people in the church, regardless if they're an occultist or not, some of these paranormal experiences, or even like these like astral travel experiences and stuff, some of these kind of paranormal experiences, if you were in the right place associated with the right church, these things might have actually have been considered some sort of divine intervention, or some sort of like it would be acknowledged maybe as like something much more interesting. You know what I'm getting at? Like, it's just funny how, like, but then, like, with the regular, I guess, peasant folk. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We'll just tell them it's, like, something else and blah, blah, blah. But you know what I'm saying? But, like, in different times and in different situations, some experiences like this were actually, like, kind of, the church or even, like, occultists were taking it as, like, something to look into.
I think the churches would take the experiences that we're talking about right now as like, oh no, don't look at that stuff. That's demonic. That's of the devil. Everything is of the devil. That's not in the Bible. It's like, why is everything of the devil? Why do they demonize everything? Because they don't want us to question anything, including their religion.
See, that's the weird thing, because like, with a bunch of stuff that I've been covering a lot lately, and a lot of these people are even associated with the church, it's like from like 1,000 or 1,200 between there and like the 1600s, they actually entertained this stuff. And then after that, something happened, and all of a sudden it became bad.
It's weird, right?
That is so weird.
That's
it's
wild.
like, what happened? Because for hundreds of years, the people that you pointed at and thought were geniuses, and even some that were turned into saints, you know, were open mystics and occultists as well.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's very weird. I don't understand what happened. It's just very
yeah.
weird,
Like why'd the switch flip?
Yeah.
And so much has been erased from history, or it's hidden. So it's like
intentionally.
Well, we'll never know. Who the heck knows?
Still, I mean, nowadays they're all like, "Hey, we just discovered something that happened thousands and thousands of years ago, or they just now cracked the code on it."
Yeah.
Still happening.
Yeah. And even the word occult itself just means hidden.
Yeah.
And like why hide it, right? Like why hide it? And then the church demonizes the word occult. Like you can't go and look at the occult because it's of the devil. And it's like, dude, it's just hidden knowledge.
I
like,
just want to keep it dumb.
Maybe they just want to protect us from going too far into it. I don't know.
Like what's over there? What are you hiding?
Yeah. What are you hiding in the Vatican Library?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to just pique more people's interest, you know.
Well, and like to this day, we still get comments like saying like, you know, what you guys do, like you're just talking to the devil, like it's all demons, like you shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
It never feels that way.
No, that's not necessarily what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go with
my last episode I did, God bless her, my friend Jan. We were talking about what we're talking about now, like ghosts and stuff. She's like, please don't look into that stuff. You know, it's like against my religion and this and that. I'm like, it's not like I'm going out ghost hunting. I'm not searching for it. But the experiences that I've had have led me to where I'm at now. So I'm okay with it. And I'm not going out trying to look for what it is because nobody's ever going to really know, like you guys said, right? So it is what it is. I've had my experiences. I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah.
So I just take everything now with a grain of salt because I don't know anything. You know?
You know what, and like, not even to be like a religious person, like, you know, not saying we're all religious here. I care less if you are or not, but like maybe on a spiritual basis. In my opinion, when this weird stuff happens and like if you still believe in like something greater than you, to me it just makes it even seem like that's even more beyond my comprehension because like I don't even understand how this is happening. And that would only happen if God existed. You know, if you're in that mind frame. So to me, it's like some people, how like they think it's like, oh, it's like horrible, but it's like, you know, actually my ideas of, you know, maybe God or whatever has evolved and become much more greater and more beautiful to me because of me looking into this shit or having these experiences.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it
That's how I look at it too. Yeah.
help you grow spiritually.
And it's a funny thing is too, is that Christians will also say, certain Christians will say, I'm not in a religion. I'm in a relationship with God and Jesus. And it's like, how do you know Jesus was the name of God? Before the Bible, who was God? Right? Now you're calling Jesus God. So who was God before Jesus even came?
Mm-hmm.
Who is God before the name Yahweh was mentioned? Are these people going to hell because they don't believe in Jesus? Like it's crazy that they can't like get that into their head. It's wild. It's like, no, it's Jesus. Jesus is God. About the end. The only way to heaven is through the Son, Jesus Christ. It's like, what about the people before him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're all gone to hell, I guess.
You know,
yeah.
You know, a real interesting thing. You know, you're talking about, you know, like Jesus and like this and that. Just an interesting fun fact. I'll throw it in, and then maybe we'll wrap it up after this. But I'm covering this old occultist called Michael Myers, and interesting name, Michael Myers. you know, but yeah, right. Yeah, and the funny thing is that he actually had music that he actually wrote that you were supposed to play or listen to as you were like looking at these emblems and meditating on them. Like this guy was he was beyond. I mean, Saint Hildegard was doing that in I think the 1200s. She was a gangster, but like he was really known like for like getting deep into that stuff. But He was associated, he knew, and had even done like a few things for King James. Now, this is the king that the King James Bible ended up being translated. And he was even corresponding and dealing with one of the people who was in charge of the translation for the King James Bible. So it's like kind of interesting when you have somebody who's known, if you were to go look him up, he was like kind of like, I wouldn't say the father of Rosicrucianism, but he was promoting the fuck out of it and was talking about it in a lot of his books before it became a thing, kind of. So it's like really interesting that you have to look at like a translation of the Bible. You know, the two people that were, it's just like there's an occultist in the mix there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had no
you know,
idea.
think about that.
Like an occultist in the mix of the Bible itself. That's
I mean, you know, not at least the original one, but the King James version. You know what I'm saying? That seems to be the one that everybody's adopted anyway.
Yeah.
It seems to be the standard kind of.
That's the one.
NY, I'm not sure NY if it was you that said this. I heard it somewhere where. No, I think it was Nico from Upstate Unconventional. Shout out.
Nice.
But he was saying that, like, because he was in the Hebrew roots movement, and so was I at one point, where it's like you have to, like, obey all the laws of God from the Old Testament, right? And it's like, you can't possibly do that, for one. And second of all, once we got out of that, we kind of look at the Bible and all other holy books as grimoires to kind of keep you entranced and, you know, down this one path where you think that you're doing the right thing by obeying all these laws, but is that really going to save you in the end?
You know? I think they're reading it completely.
It's very hypnotic because I've been down that road, right?
No,
and he's been down that road too. So once we got out of that, it's like, oh, my mind is like more liberated now. And isn't that what Jesus talks about? Is like, the truth will set you free.
It's a book about spiritual alchemy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, Michael Myers was an alchemist, so.
He did it all, didn't he?
But, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. That's about an hour and a half. I'm trying to keep my shows a little bit shorter around here now. Just so it makes it easier for some people. Davey, let everybody know what's up with you and where they can find your stuff again, please.
So I've been doing, like, for the past 2 years this show, and you know, I've had a lot of conspiratorial talk, discussion, but since my show has grown over the couple years, I've actually been communicating and interviewing some fucking awesome bands that I've been fans of for years.
I was gonna say, I noticed you've been doing music.
So much fun, dude. Like, it's so for me, it's very fulfilling to be able to reach out to these people that I've been fans of over the years and have them on. Just independent artists. They're not like huge or anything, but in my eyes, they're legends.
That's
it's been great, dude. Like the last band I got on called Glue Leg, they said, dude, in our 32 years of, or 31 years of being musicians, you've been our best interviewer ever. That's awesome, right? So yeah, I'm trying to get more of that kind of going as well, because I believe it all correlates with red pilling, because if you can find a way to be an artist or do what you want to do and make a buck off of it by pursuing your own passion, I think that's what red pilling is really all about. So that's what's been going on with me lately. But yeah, once again, you can find me at Red Pill Cartel Podcast on Instagram, and then the link tree's in the bio, and you can listen to me wherever you want.
Yes, and I have his link tree again in the bottom. It should be on everything streaming live to Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter, and whatever, a couple other places. Anything that takes show notes, it's in the bottom. Thank you very much, Dave, for coming on.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I truly appreciated you adding your stories. You know, awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude, it's always fun.
Cool story.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then the rest of you, thank you very much for coming on. I had a great time.
Thank you.
I do know you guys do have, like, I think 2 other investigations coming up, so Hopefully, okay. So maybe after the new year, I'll get you back on again, and we'll see what happened. If there's anything to talk about.
Maybe one day we'll come snatch you up and take you.
Yeah, yo, if it ever comes to the to it, I might be able to come out there. So just let me know.
Give you a tour around here.
Yeah, well, maybe make something happen. But thank you all for coming on tonight. Thank you, everybody in the chat who jumped in on the live. That's what's up. That's why I try to go live at least once a week. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.